Hi there, I'm James with Rally Corp. This video is going to focus on the dashboard. How do we know our campaigns are working? What can we learn to improve our results? And what do all these fancy numbers mean? So, quick disclaimer, I am a marketer at heart. For those that don't know, I spent many years as a chief marketing officer working with campaigns, Instagram, Facebook, ads, what have you, spending $1 million a year just trying to get people to pay attention, right? So they like, they subscribe, they whatever. And we spend all this money to get them on our website. And then what happens? We got to spend all this money to get them back again, right? And here's the challenge with social media. I love social media. I have a Instagram account that I help manage. We've got 2 million followers. It's beautiful. It's wonderful when it works. We can have a $200,000 weekend by just posting the right stuff. And we can have a weekend that does like $2,000. And the reason is we don't own that audience. Those are not our people. Instagram, Facebook, right? They're a multi-billion-dollar company because they own that market. They own the ability to get those people, and they can change an algorithm overnight, and you're SOL. So I set out to say, hey, I'm going to do all this work to get people on my website, to get people on my social feed. How do I, in a very smooth and gentle way, get them to move off of the channels where I cannot control if they see my message or not, because I'm competing with everything else, right? I'm sorry, I'm a great guy, but cat pictures and videos are a lot more fun to watch, and people will scroll by my stuff. How do I get them to stop the scroll, take action in the moment, and opt in for consent-based messaging where I can tap, tap, got something to say to you, and get my message back in front of them in a reliable and efficient way? That's why we built Rally Corp. All right. So one of the ways I do that as a marketer is I look at analytics. Analytics are just a fancy way of saying, what are the numbers behind the actions that I'm trying to measure? What are my goals? And it's going to be different goals based on your type of campaign or the strategy that you're running. If you're brand new to text to donate, for example, you might be trying to get as many people off of these other networks like Instagram, Facebook, social media, these different channels, and you're just trying to get them to pay attention. You might be posting videos on YouTube like this one here, and you might say, hey, text James to 24365, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Text the word James to the phone number 24365. That'll give you my contact card, and then you can have my cell phone because I'll have yours, and we can connect with one another. So I can move you from a video to take action. I can be doing a webinar. I can be at an event with a device like this where I can take it out and say, hey, you tap this to opt in, fill out a form. Any number of ways I get someone to take out their phone in the moment and take action. The minute they do, I capture their number and potentially consent, and I can then begin to engage with them over time. Now, as a marketer, one of the things that I measure, as I mentioned, is the engagement level, which is measured often in clicks. How many people are actually clicking on my messages? Text messaging vendors love to talk about open rates. Of course, text messaging has a 90% open rate. You got to open the message to clear it. So I think it's a little bit of a cheat. What I look for is how many people are engaging with my content. How many people are clicking on my link? That is right here under conversion. You can see that I have in my demo, which is live contacts texting in to try out my software. I have about a 73 or 72% click rate, which is phenomenal. This was real data. I would be very, very, very happy with that, right? We typically see anywhere from 40 to 60% on outbound text messaging campaigns. The lowest we see is 15%. So here's my promise to you. If you're watching this video and you've done any level of text messaging with Rally, if you ever fall below 15% click rate, please book a call with our team, ask for James. I want to jump on and look at your contacts and your list building strategies and your campaigns and see if we can improve that. Just as a reminder, 15% is like 300% better than you're going to ever get on email. All right. So look in your MailChimp, your HubSpot, your newsletter tool. Look at the link clicks that you're getting there. That should tell you that. If you don't, we can help you with that as well. Just make sure you're tracking your link clicks. And if you're getting anywhere from 5 to 7% on email, that's about average. We can beat that. Okay. So 15% is like our bottom rung of success. If you're sending text messages and 15 out of 100 people aren't clicking the link, there's something wrong with the audience that's getting that message. They're not the right people. We need to look at how you're building that list, which is rarely the issue. It's more often than not the kind of message you're sending and the actions that you're putting around that. Like you might be sending a non-branded link to a group of people from an unknown phone number. Of course, you're not going to get great link clicks. Okay. We're going to try to improve that with branded links, branded caller ID, make sure people know who you are with a compelling message. Click the link. All right. So conversion tracking is the first thing I look at as a marketer. How many people are actually converting, which is just a fancy way of saying they got my message and they took action. All right. That's the first thing I look at. Second thing I look at, and this isn't always the case for everybody. It depends on the type of campaign you're running, but we find conversational text messages have a high reply rate. So sometimes you're just looking to get people to reply. ending a text message with a question, asking for a response. Hey, we have an event coming up. Are you able to make it? Hey, James, are you able to make the event? 2 or 3 messages with a question at the end will get responses and we can have a high reply rate. I use a demo, as you can see here. I've sent 52 messages in the last few weeks, and I've had 60% of my people reply to me because I typically am out to get a reply. My demo account here is typically to set up a demonstration, a one-to-one meeting with people. So I have a high click rate and I have a high reply rate because I'm doing one-to-one conversational text messaging with the goal of getting people to reply. All right. The other number I like to look at is the bounce rate. This is just tells us about list hygiene. If you're importing unknown numbers and not validating, that's a big no-no. You will have a high bounce rate. I have a very low bounce rate because the only way to get in my demo is actually opt in. So if you're texting in, it's okay initially to have a little bit of a higher bounce rate if you're newer to texting and you're trying to figure out kind of the nuances of what gets messaged through and that type of thing. But over time, we want to see sub 1% bounce rates. And there's obviously, we allow you to pre-verify a list and validate a list ahead of send. So there's really no excuse to send messages to landlines on the Rally platform because we give you a way to verify that. All right. So as a marketer, that's what I typically look for. I like looking at this data here because it gives me a global picture, but my favorite view is right here within the campaign level. I look in the campaign itself and I look at my deliverability, my reply rate, my bounce rates, and I can look at that campaign and see how that's measuring up. We do have some advanced analytics for our enterprise customers. So if you are interested in learning more about that, just swing by our website or book a time with us or just reply and say, hey, I want to know more about the analytics. Once you get about, 10, 15, 20, 30,000 messages out, we can begin to look at that and provide some more insights to help you craft better messages in the future. Marketing is about consistency and measurement. Be consistent and measure everything. And about the time you figure it out, it changes. And that's okay. If you're consistent, you'll learn and you'll get better. And over time, we can get more people to engage with you on mobile. That's where they are. We got to meet them where they are and move them to act. Welcome to Rally Corp. Thanks again. And if you have any questions, let us know. Have a great day. Bye-bye.